and start. You see. Hello, good morning to all of you. So today we'll start the another gestational tropoblastic disease, that is choriocarcinoma. That is the malignant form of molar pregnancy or malignant gestational tropoblastic disease, and it is a type of gestational tropoblastic neoplasia and also a type of gestational tropoblastic tumor. So it is a rare but one of the most malignant growth arising from the chorionic epithelium. It develops in about 3 to 5% of patients with molar pregnancy, and the primary site is usually in uterus, and it rarely occurs in tubes and ovaries, and it is usually hemorrhagic and necrotic. And 50% out of the choriocarcinoma cases, 50% develop following molar pregnancy, and 25% after abortion or miscarriage, and 20% after term pregnancy, and 5% following ectopic pregnancy. So on naked eye examination, I will go rapidly, and because we have finished to some extent last class, and it is hemorrhagic, necrotic, and tribal mass. So it metastasizes. Early dissemination is usually occurs through the hematogenous spread is more common, and the symptoms of choriocarcinoma are, as it is a malignant condition, so the ill health and irregular vaginal bleeding and continued amenorrhea. And again, symptoms varies according to the sites of metastasis. If there is long metastasis, then there may be cough, breathlessness, hemoptysis, and other features may be there. And according to involvement of the organs, then vagina metastasis indicates irregular and brisk hemorrhage, and she may have headache, convulsion, coma in case of metastasis in brain, and liver metastasis, she will complain of epigastric pain and jaundice. Then what are the clinical features or signs on examination finding? Again, she looks ill, and pallor of varying degree. Pallor is must be there, and on bimanual examination, there occurs subinvolution of the uterus, and there may be purplish red nodule in lower third of the anterovaginal wall, or may be suburethral, or in the vulva also. There may be secondary metastasis present. Then there may be presence of unilateral or bilateral enlarged ovaries, thecal lutein cysts with thecal lutein cysts in about 9 to 30% of cases. Then what are the investigations to be done in case of choriocarcinoma? Again, the most important is beta HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. It is the most important tumor marker, as irrespective of the site of lesion and non-metastatic or metastatic. It is also marker in case of non-metastatic group also. As you know, choriocarcinoma, it may be non-metastatic or metastatic. Metastatic may be good prognosis and bad prognosis, or low risk or high risk. So even if in case of non-metastatic group of choriocarcinoma, serum beta HCG level is most of value, and it is raised in 24 hours in urine and serum. If beta HCG titer is elevated or become positive after negative report, it is suggestive. The excess of 2 milli international unit per ml in serum is a value if pregnancy is excluded. Then metastatic brain lesion is suspected when the ratio of HCG, beta HCG in spinal fluid to in serum is more than 1:60 ratio. And on chest X-ray, it shows cannonball shadow. It is peculiar to the and specific to the choriocarcinoma, and diagnostic also. Then pelvic ultrasound reveals it localizes the lesion and to differentiate the lesion from the normal pregnancy. And diagnostic rate is usually not routine, but it can be done very carefully as it reduces the tumor bulk and should be done very carefully as it may cause severe hemorrhage and may require emergency hysterectomy as life-saving measure. Then diagnostic metastasis. Again, according to the site of metastasis, different method of investigation to be done. And when there is metastasis in vagina or presence of vaginal nodule for diagnosis, the external biopsy sometimes done, but there is also risk of massive bleeding following resection, which may need packing or selective embolization as per treatment to treat the severe bleeding, and it should be differentiated from the endometrial cancer and malignant ovarian tumor. So in case of cerebral malignancy, the ratio of HCG levels in spinal fluid and serum is higher than 60, and natural CT scan and MRI will confirm the diagnosis. And if there is doubtful, then liver metastasis, CT scan, diagnose, and in chest X-ray and CT scan also know the metastasis. Sometimes on chest X-ray there is negative features, but if there is complications or features, clinical features of choriocarcinoma, biochemical markers like beta HCG increase, even if the on chest X-ray negative findings are present, still then CT scan should be done, which diagnoses micrometastasis in the chest or lungs. Even if on chest X-ray it is negative, though chest X-ray is routine. Then metastatic GTN occurs in about 4% of patients after evacuation of the complete mole, 4 to 20%. Then, but it is more common after non-molar pregnancies. GTN usually metastases as choriocarcinoma due to invasion, early invasion, vascular invasion with widespread dissemination. And trophoblastic tumors are often perfused by fragile vessels, so they are frequently hemorrhagic. So, gestational persistent trophoblastic disease may occur in about 20% cases of complete tumor, and out of this, metastatic may be in about 5%, 4 to 5% cases. Then what are the sites of metastasis? Lung is the commonest site of metastasis. At the time of diagnosis, lung involvement is visible by chest radiography with metastatic GTN that occurs in about 80% of cases, and vaginal metastasis in 30% of cases, and pelvic metastasis in 20% cases, and 10% each in liver metastasis and in case of brain metastasis. Other metastases are rare. GI and kidney, spleen, other metastases are less than 5% cases. Then pulmonary, if pulmonary metastasis, if present as chest pain, cough, and hemoptysis and dyspnea, it may also be peculiar. It may be present as alveolar or snowstorm appearance or woolly appearance when there is diffuse metastasis. Otherwise, there is cannonball metastasis peculiar, but when there is more metastasis in the lungs, more diffused, then woolly appearance type of appearance will be seen. Then discrete rounded densities, that is cannonball metastasis, and there may be pleural effusion and embolic pattern caused by pulmonary arterial occlusion. Then in vaginal metastasis occur in 30% cases, and lesions are highly vascularized and it will bleed profusely. When biopsied, metastasis in vagina occurs in the fornices or suburethraly and may produce irregular bleeding or a purulent discharge if infected. Then Hepatic metastasis occurs in 10% cases, and in disseminated trophoblastic tumor, it presents as epigastric pain by stretching liver capsule. So there may be rupture of the liver capsule. So hepatic lesions may be hemorrhagic by causing hepatic rupture and exsanguated intraperitoneal bleeding. So it is more danger than the brain because all chemo are metabolized in liver. Then central nervous system or brain metastasis, it occurs in 10% of cases and it is seen in advanced disease. It is usually associated with pulmonary and vaginal involvement. These lesions bleed profusely and spontaneously. In most patients, develop focal neurological deficit due to involvement of the brain. Then what are the staging of gestational trophoblastic tumor or gestational trophoblastic neoplasia or choriocarcinoma? So there are 4 stages. Stage 1, disease confined to the uterus, and in stage 2, when it extends outside the uterus but limited to the genital structures, adnexa, vagina, and broad ligament. Then in stage 3, when it extends to lungs, with or without no genital tract involvement. When lungs is involved, then stage 3. Then stage 4, all other metastatic sites, that is stage 4. Usually, previously, it was substaged as A, B, C, and stage 4 is substaged with A, B, C, that is A with no risk factor, B with 1 risk factor, and C is 2 risk factors. Means risk factor means 1 risk factor is when this initial serum beta hCG level is more than 1 lakh milli per ml, and second risk factor is when the interval is more than 6 months. Interval between the antecedent pregnancy and the onset of the chemotherapy, when it is more than 6 months, it is also the second risk factor. But nowadays, it is obsolete. It's substage and is obsolete. It is stage 2 up to 4. The substage is now out. So next is FIGO staging also. International Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecology staged this anatomic staging for GTN. The stage 1, patients have persistently elevated hCG levels and tumor confined to the uterine corpus. And stage 2, patients have metastasis to the genital tract. And stage 3, pulmonary metastasis with or without uterine, vaginal, or pelvic involvement. The diagnosis is based on a rising beta hCG level in presence of pulmonary genes viewed by chest radiography. Almost same like that of already previously described. Stage 4, patients have advanced disease and involvement of the brain, liver, kidney, or GI tract. The patients are in high risk category. They are resistant to chemotherapy. Choriocarcinoma is usually present and the disease commonly follows a non-molar pregnancy. Then another, the modified WHO scoring by the FIGO, International Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecology, modified this WHO prognostic scoring system by which management will be done according to the scoring system. Then the different criteria is taken. First is age in years, less than 40, 0 score, and equal or more than 40 years is 1 score. Then antecedent pregnancy. Added for more if there is suggestive history of previous. Added for more, then it is 0, and if it was abortion, 1, and term pregnancy, 2. Then interval between the antecedent pregnancy or previous pregnancy and the start of chemotherapy. When it is less than 4 months, then 0, 4 to 6 months, 1 score, and 7 to 12 months score of 2 and more than 12 is 4. Then what is the SCG, international per liter? That is when it is less than 1000, it is 0. Then when it is 1000 to 10,000, 1, and it is less than 10,000 and 1. When it is 10,000 to 1 lakh, it is less than 1 lakh to 2, and this is more than 1 lakh is 4. So this is 1000, less than 1000, 1000 to 10,000, then 10,000 to here 1 lakh, more than 1 lakh. Then according to Ague broad group, if it is female and male, 0, O or A or B or a B, accordingly 1 or 2 score is given. Then according to the largest tumor of the present uterine tumor, if it is less than 3 centimeter size, then it is 0, and 3 to 4 centimeter score of 1, and 5 or more is score 2. Then according to the site of metastasis, if the metastasis in the lungs and pelvis, it is 0, and if there is metastasis in spleen and kidney, it is 1, and GI tract 2, and brain liver metastasis is scored 4. Then number of metastasis identified prior to chemotherapy. If it is 1 to 4, score 1, and 5 to 8, 2, and more than 8, 4. Then prior chemotherapy. If prior chemotherapy was given with one drug or single regimen chemotherapy was previously given, then it is score of 2, and if it is more than 2 drugs or multiple drugs of chemotherapy was given, then it is score of 4. So total score is counted according to the presence of these criteria in the patient, and if this total score is less than 7, it is low risk group, and if it is 7 or more total score, it is high risk. Accordingly, the management will be done. Then what is the protocol for management of gestational trophoblast neoplasia or choriocarcinoma? As you know, it is either low risk or high risk. So it includes both stage 1. Low risk group, what is the low risk group? It includes both stage 1. Stage 1 means confined to the uterus, and metastatic GTN whose prognostic score is less than 7. Metastatic group when the with prognostic score is according to FIGO scoring, it is less than 7. And in patients with stage 1 disease, the selection of treatment is based on whether patient desires to retain fertility, whether she has completed family or retain to fertility. And if patient does not wish to retain fertility, hysterectomy should be done with adjuvant single agent chemotherapy. It is the primary treatment. Then single agent chemotherapy, it is preferred in patients with stage 1 disease who desire to retain fertility. Then combination chemotherapy, it should be administered in patients resistant to single agent chemotherapy and desires to retain fertility. When the patients are resistant to single agent chemotherapy and desires to retain fertility, then combination chemotherapy should be started with 2 or more drugs. Then low risk metastatic gestational trophoblast neoplasia, stage 2 and 3, vaginal and pelvic metastasis. So low risk disease treated with primary single agent chemotherapy, we have discussed, has a high rate of remission in contrast to high risk remission. And pulmonary metastasis, patient with low risk stages, low risk stages and stages 2 and 3 attain complete remission with single agent chemotherapy, complete remission. And patients who are resistant to resistant attain remission with combination chemotherapy. If they are resistant to the single agent chemotherapy, they should be started with combination agent chemotherapy or multiple agent chemotherapy or 2 or more drugs to be given and remission will occur. Then thoracotomy may be required in sometimes if the patient has persistent pulmonary metastasis following intensive chemotherapy, it may be indicated in some cases. Then hysterectomy may be required in patients with metastatic disease to control uterine hemorrhage or sepsis. Then that is the follow-up. All patients with low risk GTN, stage 1, stage 2, 3 should be followed up with weekly measurement of serum beta acid levels until they are normal for 3 consecutive weeks or negative for 3 weekly 3 consecutive weeks. This should be normal or serum beta acid should be normal or negative. And then monthly measurement of serum beta acid value should be done until levels are normal for 12 consecutive months. And effective contraception should be given for entire interval of the hormonal or chemotherapy period, because chemotherapy is also having side effects on the chromosomes and abnormal embryo may be formed. Then high risk metastatic GTN, stage 2 to 4. All patients with high risk GTN, stages 2 to 4, should be treated. High risk means 7 or more score also, should be treated with primary intensive combination chemotherapy. High risk means combination chemotherapy. No single drug chemotherapy is indicated in high risk group. And the selective use of radiation therapy and surgery, but nowadays chemotherapy is most effective method. And in case of hepatic metastasis, if a patient becomes resistant to systemic chemotherapy, hepatic arterial infusion of chemotherapy may induce complete remission. Hepatic resection may be required to control acute bleeding or excise a focus of tumor. Then in case of cerebral metastasis, it is treated with either whole brain radiation with 3000 centigrade in 10 fractions or stereotactic radiosurgery in conjunction with combination chemotherapy. Then craniotomy may be required to provide acute decompression or to control bleeding. And follow-up in case of cerebral metastasis, patients with stage 4 should follow up with weekly determination of serum beta acid levels until they are normal for 3 consecutive weeks. Then monthly determination of serum beta acid levels until they are normal for 24 consecutive months. These patients require prolonged ECG serum beta acid follow-up because they are at increased risk of late recurrence is more. Late recurrence is more common in case of cerebral metastasis. The prolonged serum beta acid follow-up is required. Then what are the differential diagnosis? Post-delivery or post-abortal retained placental tissue and placental polyp should be differentiated. Then when choriocarcinoma develops many years following a pregnancy, ultrasound will diagnose and differentiate. Then ectopic pregnancy also to be differentiated, or pulmonary tuberculosis, as they are both having the same symptoms of lung involvement. So it can be also differentiated by the specific cannonball appearance of the metastasis, lung metastasis, and neurological symptoms may be points towards the brain lesion in case of central nervous system metastasis. So, what are the diagnostic evaluation? All the patients with GTN should undergo a careful pre-treatment evaluation including the following: complete history and physical examination, measurement of serum beta acid level, liver, thyroid, renal function tests, and determination of the baseline peripheral WBC and platelet count. And chest radiography by CT and the USC, ultrasonography and CT scan of abdomen, pelvis. Of course, chest X-ray is routine, but CT is not routine. And CT or MRI of head. Then most important is chemotherapy. Chemotherapy alone can cure 100% of patients of non-metastatic and low-risk metastatic GTN, means with a score of less than 7, low-risk group. So 100% cure is there with chemotherapy in case of non-metastatic group and low-risk metastatic group. And single agent chemotherapy with either actinomycin D or methotrexate achieved comparable and excellent remission rates in non-metastatic and low risk metastatic GTN, that is less than 7 score. Serum message levels is measured weekly after each course of chemotherapy if the level is falling progressively. Further chemotherapy is withheld. Second dose of chemotherapy is given when if SCG levels plateaus for more than 3 consecutive weeks or begins to rise again, and if SCG levels does not decline by 1 log within 18 days after completion of the first treatment, or then if the patient's response to the first treatment was adequate, a second course of methotrexate folinic acid is required. The dose is unaltered. An adequate response is as a fall in SCG level by 1 log or 10% after course of chemotherapy. If the dose response is inadequate, the dose of methotrexate is increased from 1 milligram per kg to 1.5 milligram per kg for each of 4 treatment days. If the response to 2 consecutive courses of methotrexate and folinic acid combination is inadequate, patient is considered to be resistant to methotrexate and actinomycin D is promptly substituted. If the SCG level do not decline by 1 log after treatment with actinomycin D, the patient is resistant to it. So she may be treated with combination chemotherapy. Usually methotrexate and folinic acid combination is given. Methotrexate is given 1357 and folinic acid is given on day 2468. Folinic acid dose is 1 milligram per kg of body weight. So the methotrexate side effects are thrombocytopenia, granulocytopenia, and hepatotoxicity. Otherwise, another dose schedule of methotrexate is there. That is, it is given in dose of 5 milligram 5 times per day orally for 5 days, or in a dose of 0.5 milligram per kg intramuscularly daily for 5 days. Or methotrexate folinic acid combination is given. Methotrexate is given in a dose of 1 milligram per kg intramuscularly on alternate days or day 1357 with folinic acid in a dose of 0.1 milligram per kg intramuscularly on days of 2468 alternate days. So methotrexate and folinic acid combination was given in alternate days. Then triple therapy, other is combination chemotherapy or triple drugs are given, MAC or IMACO. So it is indicated in high risk disease with metastasis. High risk group means combination chemotherapy or multiple agent chemotherapy. It may be useful in selected patients with low risk course resistant to single agent. IMACO induces 80% remission in patients with metastasis and high-risk core. This regimen is well tolerated and seldom suspended due to toxicity. IMA-IP, IMA, etoposide, methotrexate, actinomycin D, and etoposide and cisplatinum. And IMACO means etoposide, methotrexate, actinomycin D, cyclophosphamide, and oncovin. Different combinations are there. So what is the IMACO protocol, which is commonly used in high-risk group as combination agent chemotherapy. So day 1, etoposide is given 100 milligram per meter square in 200 ml of saline infused over 30 minutes. Then actinomycin D in a dose of 0.0 milligram IV bolus, and methotrexate 100 milligram meter square bolus followed by 200 milligram meter square IV infusion over 12 hours. So first day, etoposide, actinomycin D, and methotrexate. Then day 2, instead of methotrexate, folinic acid is given. So etoposide, same dose, 100 milligram meter square in 200 ml saline infused over 30 minutes, and actinomycin D, 0.5 milligram IV bolus, and folinic acid in a dose of 15 milligram intramuscularly every 12 hours for 4 doses, beginning 24 hours after starting of methotrexate. So second day, instead of methotrexate, folinic acid given. Then on day 8 or second week, cyclophosphamide, imaco, co means cyclophosphamide, O means oncovin or vincristine. So cyclophosphamide in a dose of 600 milligram meter square IV in saline over 30 minutes, and vincristine, that is oncovin, in a dose of 1 milligram meter square IV bolus. So it is given at interval of 3 weeks. Imaco is given at interval 3 weeks. So another combination agent chemotherapy is MAC regimen, methotrexate, actinomycin D, and cyclophosphamide. So day 1, methotrexate 1 milligram per kg IV, then actinomycin D 12 microgram per kg IV, then cyclophosphamide 3 milligram per kg IV. Then on second day, instead of methotrexate, folinic acid is given. So folinic acid 0.1 milligram per kg intramuscularly, then same like that of first day, actinomycin D and cyclophosphamide are given. Then on day 3, repeat the same doses of the drugs as like that of the day 1, means methotrexate, actinomycin D, and cyclophosphamide. Day 1, like that day 1. And on day 4, like same as day 2, your folinic acid, actinomycin D, and cyclophosphamide. Then on day 5, same as day 1, methotrexate, actinomycin D, cyclophosphamide. Then on day 6, folinic acid, 0.1 milligram kg IM, only. Day 6, only folinic acid. Then day 7, only methotrexate in a dose of 1 milligram kg IV. And on day 8, folinic acid, 0.1 milligram kg per IM. So this MAC regimen is repeated at the interval of 2 weeks. So there are usually 2 regimens, MAC regimen and imaco regimen. And imaco regimen little bit toxic than the MAC regimen, but it is more effective than MAC regimen. So accordingly, according to the patient, condition of the patient and score, it should be started, either MAC or imaco. Other also regimens, triple regimens, combination regimens are there. And another also, another dose schedule of MAC is methotrexate 50 milligram IV, actinomycin 0.5 milligram IV, and cytoxan 250 milligram IV daily for 5 days. The 3 drugs are given daily for 5 days and repeated at interval of 3 weeks. Then another MAC is there in combination of methotrexate, actinomycin D, and chlorambucil. Then Batsa treated with methotrexate, actinomycin D, and etoposide also. So different combinations are there. MIP and BP. BP is bleomycin, etoposide, and 6-platinum. And MA regimen, methotrexate, actinomycin D, and adramycin. And VIP, etoposide, ifosfamide, EIP, etoposide, and ifosfamide, and cisplatin. And IC, ifosfamide, carboplatin, and etoposide. So different combinations are there. These are the reserve drugs. And new drugs like Taxol, Apotaxol, gemcitabine can be also used in resistant cases. And gemcitabine is used in a dose of 1250 milligram per meter square from day 1 to 8 with 6-platin 20 milligram per meter square combination. Then duration of therapy. Patients who require combination therapy must be treated intensively to attain remission. And combination chemotherapy should be given as often as toxicity permits until the patient achieve 3 consecutive normal HCG levels. So it should be given till toxicity permits. After HCG levels are normal, at least 2 additional courses of chemotherapy are given according to the, again, non-metastatic, or low risk or high risk. Additional courses are added. If it is non-metastatic group, 1 additional course of chemotherapy is given after normalization of the serum beta HCG level. But in case of metastatic low risk group, 2 additional courses are given. But in case of high risk metastatic group, 3 additional courses are given. So according to the type of disease, whether it is non-metastatic or low risk or high risk. Non-metastatic group, 1 additional course. Low risk metastatic group, 2 additional course chemotherapy. And in case of high risk metastatic group, 3 additional course of chemotherapy are given. So here it is completing. So for non-metastatic disease, 1 cycle, and for good prognosis, a low risk group, 2 cycles, and for poor prognosis, a high risk metastatic group, 3 cycles of additional cycle of chemotherapy is given after the serum beta HCG is normal. Then what is the recurrence? For non-metastatic GTN, the recurrence is about 2 to 3%, and for good prognosis metastatic GTN, 3 to 4%, and for poor prognosis metastatic GTN, 12%. Then recurrence following 12 months of normal HCG level is 1%. So again, according to the stage of the disease, the recurrence is after stage 1, it is about 3%. In case of stage 2, it is about 8%. And in case of stage 3, it is about 4%. And in case of stage 4, it is about 9% recurrence is there. Then follow-up. Follow-up is mandatory for all patients at least for 2 years because it's most important. And serum HCG is measured weekly until it is negative for 3 consecutive weeks. Then thereafter it is measured monthly for 6 months. After normalization of 3 consecutive weeks, then monthly for 6 months. Then 6 monthly thereafter for life. So at least 3 to 5 years most, but better for whole life. And increased risk for development of secondary malignancies may be there due to multiple agent chemotherapy like leukemia and breast cancer and other colon cancer. There may be secondary malignancies are increased due to chemotherapy. Then prophylactic chemotherapy, what is the place of prophylactic chemotherapy? At risk women, it should be given at the age of patient when it is more than 35 years and completed family, and the initial level of serum beta HCG more than 1 lakh international per ml, and HCG levels fails to become normal by 7 to 9 weeks time, or there is re-elevation of serum beta HCG, or histologically diagnosed as infiltrating mole, and evidence of metastasis irrespective of the level of HCG, and previous history of molar pregnancy, and woman who is unreliable for a follow-up. It's better for the hysterectomy. Prophylactic chemotherapy. Surgery, what are the indication of hysterectomy? High-risk cases over the age of 40 years or multiparous, and chemotherapy is ineffective and hemorrhage due to uterine perforation, large size growth in the uterus and intractable vaginal bleeding, and accidental uterine rupture may be their perforation during DNC and to improve efficacy of chemotherapy. It is also given. Then metastasis management. According to the site of metastasis, management varies. If there is vaginal metastasis, vaginal bag for bleeding and wide excision and chemotherapy is given. And for lung metastasis, chemotherapy, lumpectomy, if growth is localized or resistant to the chemotherapy. Liver metastasis, again chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And for brain metastasis, chemotherapy, intrathecal chemotherapy is also given at a dose of 12.5 milligram, 3 to 4 weeks interval. It can be given intrathecally, methotrexate can be given, and surgery according to the lesion and radiotherapy. Then subsequent pregnancies. Patients either or more can anticipate normal reproduction in future. And patients with both complete and partial more should be informed of the induced risk of molar disease in about risk of molar disease about 1.5% cases, that is GTL. And perform pelvic ultrasound during first trimester to confirm normal gestation future. Early ultrasound is needed in case of pregnancy following molar pregnancy. And obtain an SCG measurement for 6 weeks after completion of the pregnancy to exclude occult trophoblastic neoplasm. And the method of contraception is ideal is barrier method, but again combined oral pill can be ideal and more effective after the serum beta acid becomes normal. And IUD and progesterone pill are not ideal because it causes irregular bleeding. So confused with again follow-up is very difficult, and spacing is done for 1 year minimum because it is confused whether the raised beta HCG is due to residual gestational trophoblastic disease or due to pregnancy. So 1 year should be no pregnancy or contraception should be given. So it is all about the choriocarcinoma as thank you. So any doubt or any question you have? So the incidence of choriocarcinoma after molar pregnancy is about 2 to 10%. But the incidence of molar pregnancy in case of choriocarcinoma is 50%. We have to remember. So most important is this chemotherapy is the ideal treatment for choriocarcinoma. And this is the greatest success of the human being. This chemotherapy is most effective, and that is the greatest success of a human being for the chemotherapy. It is most successful. So chemotherapy is usually most ideal treatment for the chemotherapy for treatment of choriocarcinoma. So at least 2 years contraception should be ideal because and if required after completion of 1 year of chemotherapy, the pregnancy should be allowed after 1 year of completion of chemotherapy because chemotherapy drugs are toxic and it may cause harm to the chromosomes and abnormal embryo may be formed. So contraception is a must at least for 1 year after the completion of the chemotherapy. No. Mhm. Finished. Any doubt? I've told. Any doubt? Any doubt? Now they will give. Any doubt you tell? Right.
Also will come here, sir.
Yeah, na? You had. Finish. Finish. No doubt. Okay. Thank you.